The crime of all of this and the turmoil that we have been dealing with over the last 2 years, thing that sucks the most is that a lot of people that have advocated for such self-destructive policies for their geographical area or their territory, they're never going to be made to pay for the mistakes. They're never going to be made to pay for their, like, really what it is they did. No consequences or anything. And that's what sucks, because it's like, hey, well, I was well intended, therefore it's good enough. Even, which hilariously enough was coming from Johns Hopkins University, because they were one of the ones that were really pushing the 2 weeks to slow the spread. And from that came lockdowns. That's where what really started the whole lockdown situation. So it's funny that this same group of researchers, rather they're the ones publishing it, the same people that acknowledged that are acknowledging this. And I'm not going to read through the whole entire deal. I'm just telling you, this is not for me. This is not for me. I don't give a shit what they say, because I knew that, because I'm not an economically illiterate dipshit. This is for those of you that think that the only people that deserve to be able to talk about this subject are folks that are deemed as experts, have doctors, scientists, lab coats on, red ties. Those are the only ones that we can listen to. So the people that you tell us to listen to are now acknowledging that the policy that you guys advocated was, I tell you what, we'll just read the abstract right here. Again, I'm reading it directly from them. Let's read what it says. This is paper. This systematic review and meta-analysis are designed to determine whether there is empirical evidence to support the belief that lockdowns reduce COVID-19 mortality. Remember, that was what it was always. I knew that it wasn't going to be the case. To be fair, it was all about spreading shit out over time, was what the initial claim was for, like that was what the whole flatten the curve idea was about. Not the 2 week slow spread. I'm saying just the theory of flatten the curve. That's what it was about. It was about spreading out those deaths over time. So I knew the answer to this a long time ago. But there were people that believed that, okay, if you don't lock down, then you want to kill people. Okay. Lockdowns are defined as the imposition of at least one compulsory non-pharmaceutical intervention, which they're calling NPIs. NPIs are any government mandate that directly restricts people's possibilities, such as policies that limit internal movement, close schools, businesses, and ban international travel. So that's what they're considering lockdown, basically sit down, shut the fuck up, don't move. This study employed a systematic search and screening procedure in which 18,590 studies are identified that could potentially address the belief posed. After 3 levels of screening, 34 studies ultimately qualified. Of those 34 eligible studies, 24 for inclusion in the meta-analysis. They were separated into 3 groups: lockdown stringency index studies, shelter-in-place studies, SIPO, and specific NPI studies. An analysis of each of these 3 groups support the conclusion, and this is the part that matters. It supports the conclusion that lockdowns have had little to no effect on COVID-19 mortality. More specifically, stringency index studies find that lockdowns in Europe and the United States only reduce COVID-19 mortality by 0.2% on average. So basically, it's statistically insignificant. That's probably within the margin of error. SIPOs are also ineffective, only reducing COVID-19 mortality by 2.9% on average. Specific NPI studies also find no broad-based evidence of noticeable effects on COVID-19 mortality. This is the part that really, really nails it. While this meta-analysis concludes that lockdowns have had little to no public health effects, they have imposed enormous economic and social costs where they have been adopted. In consequence, lockdown policies are ill-founded and should be rejected as a pandemic policy instrument. That's what the experts said. I didn't say it. Well, I've said it. I long said it. But for you guys who think that, oh, well, you're not a doctor, you're not a scientist, well, you can't say that. Okay. Even your handlers are saying it. Okay. Now, the problem is a lot of the handlers were advocating for these self-destructive policies, and they're not going to be nailed to the wall, metaphorically speaking, for anything it is that they've done. And that's what sucks about it all. You people that advocated lockdowns, and you know exactly who the fuck you are, advocated lockdowns, you advocated something that was economically destructive. Now, we've seen the brunt of that and what that has led to in a lot of areas and a lot of industries where people definitely through the height of this, businesses not shutting down momentarily, businesses shutting down permanently. Permanently. They're shutting down permanently, meaning they're not coming back, guys. And these could have been avoided. Now, the reason why they're going to be able to get away with it is simple. It's that they think, and they've convinced you, that their intentions absolve them of anything that they've done. So because they were trying to save lives, then it was the right thing to do. No matter how destructive that it was, no matter how many people that actually understood economics, not the quacks that work for the government, not the Keynesians. No. I'm talking about actual, be it Austrians or Chicago economists told your crackhead ass that you could not treat the economy like it was a light switch where you could just say, stop moving and don't do anything, and that was going to have no impact. They had told you that long before how destructive of a policy it was. You didn't listen. Instead, you listened to people that were unfortunately in the medical field and in the scientific field who don't know a goddamn thing about economics. Nothing. And they're largely shielded from their consequences. They get money from the government, and the government gets the money from you, or selling assets of unborn people, monetizing debt. And I had made this argument, if you watch my videos before, that a lot of the questions that they're attempting to answer are economic ones. And the reason they don't have the answers is because that's not what they specialize in. They don't understand that. They think, if anything, they're shielded from the economic consequences. Now, anybody that remotely understood, hey, man, you can't just say stop and you flip the switch back on and everything's going to go back to normal. No, these are going to have it's a chain. These are going to have disastrous policies, disastrous consequences, and those consequences inevitably impact someone else. It's this whole pencil thing, right? That industry impacts that industry, impacts that industry. And anybody that understood it, just even at the surface level, you would have known this was on the horizon. But what's going to happen to them? The people that said, don't move, lock down. And a lot of them are looking the other way like, oh, I've never did that, as if we didn't have that. In so many areas throughout the world, especially pockets of this country. I'm not saying that to black pill you. I'm just saying that the people that you guys look to as leaders are often leading you off a fucking cliff. You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, ericdjuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.